The object permanence works are really about questioning what we know about the world that we see. We like to think we see the world as it really is, but that's just not the case. So the pieces have these simple objects that travel in a virtual space, and we get these windows into that space through the displays. When the objects are invisible, we still perceive them there, traveling through space, even though they exist nowhere else but in our minds. And when they impact the physical objects and appear to push them or turn them or slide through them, it makes this sensation more visceral. A lot of perceptual phenomena are really interesting, but object permanence specifically has always fascinated me. Piaget showed that this was a stage we all go through as babies around 9 to 11 months old, after which our minds can perceive the motion of objects when they are occluded and when we can't see them. Or at least we think we perceive them. And that's really what I wanted to exploit and play with. It's important here that the viewer gets the strongest sense of object permanence. The psychologists would call this maximizing the saliency of the effect. I needed to get a very precise synchronization between the graphics on the various screens and the movement of the sculptures. I had to use some very tight closed-loop control of the motors and also get that mapped and aligned precisely with the screens. I hope that, beyond questioning the mechanics of our perception, this work lets us question the whole Western notion of duality. I mean, what is an object, really? I perceive that I'm an object and you're an object, and this pencil I'm holding is another distinct object. But then, what about that ball I see on the screen there in this piece at the time when it exists only in my mind? Maybe there really aren't any objects at all. All the molecules are just part of a system, and any distinction I perceive is artificial. While all this was swimming in my brain a couple of years back, I had a class with this sculptor, Nick Lowen. His pieces have this organic and fluid aesthetic which really resonated with me. That's something I was looking for in this work, so I asked him to collaborate with me on one of the two pieces. So we ended up with a system of these two pieces facing themselves from opposite walls. While both have rustic elements and organic shapes, the first is definitely more mechanized, more structures, more complexity, more interaction with our perception. Then we turn around and there's this other piece that's simpler and more organic and more fluid. Both pieces address the same concepts but in different ways. Maybe the first speaks more to some people and the second speaks more to others. Maybe for some people, seeing both the more mechanized piece and the more organic piece as two sides of a coin is what allows them to take something significant away from the experience.